Hi,
Sounds
everyone.
good.
It's Karen Mayer, and we are here with Adriana Rinaldi. I'm so happy to have you here, Adriana. You are one of the biggest supporters of Savvy Art, and we love to sell your pieces. I want to make sure that we find out what's new with you. And so I want to make sure that we check in with you. So let's get started. Adriana, we've known each other a long time, but maybe for the people who don't know you so well, can you give us a little background, how you started all of this?
I would love to. Basically, I worked for the government for about 32 years, and I loved the job. The whole time I was there, I was, engaged and happy to do my job. But boy, did I ever want to be an artist. I have since I was a little girl. So finally, when I retired after 32 years of being a buyer, I was able to enter into the artist world and be an artist and everything to do with it. It's very interesting because you have to really know a lot of different things to do this job. You have to know marketing and sales. You have to be social. You have to keep learning. You have to know what's out there, what people's decor is like to make sure that your art is kind of relevant. And you have to do a good job because if you do a really good painting and is rendered well, it's going to stand the test of time. So you really have to do your research. So it's got everything in it, and I really, really enjoy it. And that's pretty much my history. So now I'm living the life.
Yay! That's so good, right? To be able to say that you're living your dream. And do you also find that as an artist, as another job, because as you mentioned, there's so many in the list, can you also say personal development is at the top of your list, like you're always working on yourself?
Oh my God, that is so true. You know what? I do take courses because I'm hoping that maybe there's something in the course that might develop and go into my paintings. So there's always that. And but I do find that there's a lot from my buying past that helps me too. Being organized, writing lists, even having to talk to people. That's a big skill. When you're at art shows and stuff like that, you have to be able to relate to them and find out what their needs are. And even to do with commissions. I've done some very interesting commissions, like really great stories. And if you can't figure out what your client wants, then forget it, because you're really trying to interpret what their needs are and what their vision is. So there's that. So I do find that a lot from my career has entered into my art life.
That's a good point. And the commissions part and really listening to what the client's asking for, because rarely what they say is what they're actually looking for. It's so difficult to put into words something so visual. I mean, I think that's artist lesson 101, that if you could describe in words what you're doing, then you'd be a writer. You wouldn't be an artist.
True. That's true. I've actually kind of discovered a few things, like, and I try to put it into my paintings. Like, for example, this white flower painting here. I've done it in such a way that it's not going to be a commission, but kind of a commission. So I have a client who has a house that's all done in peach or bright turquoise, I can repaint the background and that white flower is just going to pop and it's going to look terrific in their house. Yes. Because then it's going to match, right? So little things like that I do, it's kind of moving towards, working with the client and pleasing myself too, because, I like what I do, but I also feel very satisfied when I do please the client.
That's incredible. So we want to get into, what's new with you and what are you into now, but do you want to, I always like to tell people about your technique, because there's not many people that have the same technique as you do. And we were just talking a little before this, and you described how you're even evolving that technique. So I want to hear more about that. Do you want to talk about your series and then your technique, or do you want to talk about your technique first?
I have so much to talk about.
Okay, good.
So, first of all, I'm going to talk about my technique.
Okay.
And then into the series. So years ago, like, you know, I started in watercolors, always kind of found them wishy-washy. Never found that they had that impact. So I went and took a course on the old masters technique. And after I did that, from the very first two paintings, I knew that this was something that was going to really keep me in line. It's very formula driven. It is very labor intensive. There's lots of layers and lots of steps and all that, but you produce a really beautiful, beautiful painting. But
could you just help, sorry to interrupt, could you just, like, in 2 sentences, describe what is the old master's technique?
Okay, so you start with a grisaille, and that's a brown and white underpainting. So what you do is, well, first of all, you've got to grid your canvas. So that's one thing. And then you've got to put brown on everything. With a cloth, you take away the white so that you end up getting like a kind of a black and white photograph. And that's how the whole thing begins. Then the second step is another step where you lay in a pastel colored, another kind of black and white, but it's all in pastel color. So it's another layer of colors. And then on top of that, you start layering your transparent colors, glazes. And then, you know, what happens is that you have color on top of color, and the light refracts down into it and back. And it is really beautiful. Like it is very, very beautiful. But what I found was, for me personally, that I could get almost the same technique by very intuitively painting that way, kind of alla prima. So I do like to start with the grisaille, if I can, and I approach paintings in different ways. But the way I do it is, instead of doing the brown and white grisaille, as I go along, I put a little bit of my Secret Formula brown, which is a raw umber, in with the colors. So that'll steer it towards dark or shadows, and then I'll put the white and it brightens it up. So it just works for me, and I somehow I've done it intuitively, and sometimes it's even hard to explain how I do it. But there's a lot of paintings that I do that way. Like, for example, I don't know if you can see this fruit one here. This one is done in brown and white. It's just beginning, and I'm just starting to put the colors in. So that's one that I'm doing a series of you know, interesting still lifes. So I'm going to be doing some apples. I'm going to be doing, you know, the fruit, and I know it's a very kind of traditional subject, but I'm trying to find a funky way of doing it. So I've got this one here. Maybe I'll just show you.
Yes, please.
It's going to be the basket, and I haven't really seen one that's quite like this, where you mostly see the basket. So it's just kind of a different way for me to interpret it, and I'm having a lot of fun doing that technique.
I think you've really succeeded with the contemporary approach. I mean, certainly the way you've got your hydrangea, the top corner there, it's certainly presented contemporary, certainly with the thought of, you know, giving some other color around the outside of it to blend with the decor. So that's fabulous. I really love that. And I love how you have evolved something that you learned, so that those layers and how the light hits it is so technical. I mean, it's really science, chemistry, and, you know, dealing with light and your eye receives. It's very, you're right, that you had mentioned before, the job of an artist is so all-consuming and so many levels. That's fabulous.
I feel like I'm always learning. You know what? I don't consider myself an expert in this whatsoever. I still feel like I'm like a novice. And who would want to know it exactly anyhow? You want to learn. I like to challenge myself. And that's probably why, you know, I'm not the type of person to only, you know, paint one subject like pine trees or, you know, florals. I really need to sort of switch it up, and maybe it's my Gemini nature. I like to change it up all the time. So as soon as I do something like soft, I'll have to the next time do something really kind of like crazy, like my floral series.
Right.
So I'd love to tell you about series.
Please tell me about series.
Okay.
No, that'll be, I would like to hear more about that. about your new series, because series are always exciting, and certainly from a gallery perspective to see and present a whole series of pieces. But I do love the intuitive nature that you paint. It's you know, it's coming from the universe, right? You're channeling it, which is very exciting.
It is, and you know, we've just gotten through 2 years of COVID, and you know, and other things that go on in everybody's lives. You know, I've had some things that kind of tied me up for the last couple months, and we're coming to an end of it. And I feel so excited to paint that I've got all these ideas in my head. And you know, one of them is going to be my explosive floral series. And you wonder why I paint this. Well, it's sometimes as simple as a scarf and my pillows. I've had these pillows for a while, and I bought the mug too. And you know, I've been staring at these in my house for the longest time, and I thought, you know what, I've got to do something that really excites me. So I painted this floral, and I just thrown tons of flowers in there. And the great thing about doing it this way is it can go vertical or horizontal. And I'm going to be doing about 2 more of these. I think maybe I'm going to do a black background with white flowers. I've got maybe a larger scale, more squarish parrot tulip, orange and
Nice.
purples. I just feel like I just want to get it out of me. So that's going to be my next series. And you know, in between all that, I'm going to be probably working on my landscape series, which is, I don't know, do you want me to talk about that now?
Yes, let's hear about your landscapes. The only other thing I want to say about your flowers is kind of a reflection, I think, about how everyone felt this summer. They just wanted to see flowers and color and, you know, run on a beach.
Breaking out and blossoming. I kind of feel like there's something in me that's blossomed too. I don't know what it is. I think maybe because even talking to you and having to think about this video and what I want to say, I've realized that you know, I've kind of switched a little bit, and I'm really ready to break out and try different colors, and you know, still doing my technique though. But really, I'm feeling like bright. I'm feeling like I need to brighten up things, and that's where the landscape series comes in, because
wonderful, because that kind of artistic exploration is what keeps it exciting, I think.
It's true. And you know, I always wanted to do a series or be good at doing like ocean and sky. You know, we go to Florida, you know, every year, and you know, we go to, you know, Cuba and different places where we have the ocean. And I thought, oh, it's so beautiful. Like it would be so nice to look at this. You know, we go up north, and there's, you know, I woke up one morning and there was misty outside. And I thought, oh, wouldn't this be nice to look at this all the time? And I thought, why am I not painting this? I should be looking at this in a painting all the time.
Right.
So I started doing this series. It started with that.
Beautiful.
That's my lake.
Oh, nice.
And this one here is still in the works. I have to work on the lady's dress and stuff like that. But the colors appeal to me so much that I'm ready to do like big scale, moody, sea, sky. So working towards that, and I'm learning as I go along. And I have these little ones here that I've done. And what it is I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's actually oil on board.
Okay.
But I painted gold underneath. And you probably can't see it, but you can actually see little bits of the gold peeking through. So
I can, when you tip it a little, it's reflecting the light.
Right.
Beautiful.
Like this one here, I don't know if you can see.
Yes,
so you see that when the light hits, you can see that copper or the gold on there. And I had a lot of fun with that. Sorry. Let me just get that in there.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun for me, because I really like to explore gold leaf as well. But you know, I gotta rein myself into, because you can't be going all over the place, and you know, different subject, different styles. So basically, that's what I want to try to do is
love it.
The landscape and the explosive florals and the funky still lifes. So
I love the funky still lifes. I really do love those. You know,
Thank you.
you may do this already, but as an artist, I totally get where you're coming from when you say you have all of these ideas and you want to do them all at once. So what I do, because I don't know if people know, but an artist's mind is full and it
Oh,
keeps
yeah.
getting added to. It's less is coming out than what's going in. And so I started to make a list, you know, an art project list, and at least it frees my brain up that I'm not afraid to lose that idea. It's written down. So I'll get to it.
That's so true, you know,
Yeah.
and if you see something that inspires you, like I'll just save a photo of it in my, you know, my
Yes.
iPad that day. I have so many photos now, so many ideas, but I have one file that's just a new work or painting ideas because, like you said, I go to bed at night thinking about art. I wake up in the morning thinking about art. You walk the streets and you're thinking about arts and the way the light hits. And, you know, I think artists have a different way of looking at things
For
than
sure.
most. We'll see
Yep.
the color and the light and the roots and the little details and
Yep.
think,
Patterns.
what can I do with this?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Can you tell us, you hinted a little bit about a new series.
I have some very large canvases and I want to do landscapes, quiet landscapes.
Nice.
So that's going to be something that's going to be just very elegant and very quiet and very serene and peaceful. I think that it won't take too long. There's maybe just a little shadow of a like an island or some boats or something like that, but it's going to probably be a lower price point too. I'm thinking because of the fact that I want to have a few pieces that are beautiful, elegant, and affordable. So it's going to be a little bit less, and it's going to be so much fun for me to paint. It's just very simple, kind of abstracty,
Oh, I'm
smoky.
looking forward to seeing that because everybody, not everybody, a lot of people, when I help them choose art for their space, they have busy jobs, they have a lot of stress. So to have serenity in their room that they can focus on, I think is a really healthy thing to add to a space.
Exactly, exactly. Because you know, my paintings tend to be busy. They're busy paintings because I like to challenge myself, but I also need quiet time too. And you know, sometimes when you just, you know, brushing the paint on a big expanse and you know, you're working on a big quiet landscape like that, it's very peaceful for me. And like you said, it's going to be peaceful for the person that buys the piece, you know,
Oh,
so
yes. Yeah.
working
And
on
you
that.
know, with your skill at showing depth, like I'd have to say, if I picked out one aspect of your work that is different than a lot, is that you have the ability to portray such depth. And if that comes out in your simple, serene pieces, those will be stunning.
Thank you. And that's very observant on your part because that is always what I'm trying to capture is depth, whether it's my big hydrangea or the leaf painting in behind you there.
Yeah.
That one's mine.
I love that one. That's the best. Yeah.
Thank you. You know, everybody always asks me, how did you do that? Well, I'll tell you, that was a bit of a mistake because I did the painting exactly according to the photo. But then I realized that the background was just as pronounced as the leaves in the foreground. You couldn't tell one from the other. So what I did was I put a white wash in the background, softened everything up, and it just made everything pop. So that's where the expertise comes in, you know, to know these little tricks on how to, you know, enhance your paintings. And it was as simple as that. Or like the birch trees in behind you there.
Yes.
I wanted to have a focal point. I wanted the light to come in from exactly the middle. So I did everything, and I did use the old master's technique as I went along to put, you know, whiter and whiter and whiter going through the middle. And you can see it just kind of draws you into the middle of the painting.
Yeah. You know what else is so interesting about your pieces? I don't know if you can see from this, but the wonderful job you do at the sides. And
thank you.
I like to do that also with my sides because it gives a buyer the option to not frame it, you know.
Right.
And I find also it grabs your eye as you're passing it. It like catches your eye as you're moving past it, and it like draws you in earlier, maybe. I don't know. I like it.
I agree. I paint all the sides of my paintings. It's something that I've always done. And I just feel like it finishes it off. And like you said, you know, like when I see a painting that's just white or black on the side, I think, you know, it needs a frame, you know, or something to hide that. So with my paintings, you can just put them up and they're ready to go.
Yeah. Do you have a preference for the board as opposed to canvas?
Well, you know what? I really like what I tell you what I do. Like that one there is painted directly on the board.
Yeah,
Right.
these are a board, right?
Right. So something I've learned that I do now is I actually I stretch my own canvas and I put the canvas right on the board so that I'm painting on the canvas. And I like the hardness of painting on a board with certain subject matter that I know I'm going to have to like really scrub and really, you know, dig in and that kind of thing. Also for, you know, if I bring them places, it helps me keep it safe, you know, because I've heard of a lot of artists who, you know, have been in shows and they poked holes in their, you know, paintings and stuff like that. Although there's one drawback and it makes it a little heavier. So the thing is, if I need to ship it, that's not a problem because I can take the canvas right off the board and ship it and redo it on a stretcher bar. So it really lightens up. But I at least get to paint it on the board, which is I just really like the hardness of it.
The hardness of it. It's
right.
It's the pressure back.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, there's something
like
about
we're talking hardness, but it's pushing back, which I like.
Right. Yeah. And I don't you know so much paint directly on board anymore because there's a lot of prep. Like if you're gonna do it right on board, you have to put that glue on. You have to put layers and layers and layers of gesso on it, and it's easier just to put a canvas on the board.
You pull it down, you're all good.
Right.
I would love to know one of your commission stories.
Oh, I am so glad that you're asking me that because I don't tend to I don't do it like ordinary commissions. I'll take a commission if there's an interesting story involved. And I've got about 3 stories. One of them is a commission for a client that I did a painting for, and their son who has special needs. Their dog passed away, and this dog was the companion for this child for ages, and so they wanted a painting of the son sitting on the dock with the dog beside them, and they were so happy to get that after the dog passed away. So there's one commission. Yeah. The other commission was probably the biggest painting I've ever done. I think it was 36 by 60 or 30 by 72. I can't remember. And it's just a big boat. So you look at this boat, you think, okay, it's a boat. But no, it's not just a boat. It was a boat that they made a movie from. And I think the movie was called The Great Escape or something like that. And it was people who actually used this boat to cross a river. And this man actually is the guy who owns the boat. Oh, and he's actually the one who commissioned me to paint his son. So he's got this big boat painting in his dining room, which was really kind of beautiful and so nice for me to paint something that has so much meaning because he takes the boat out every morning. So that was really quite nice. And I had another commission that was kind of fun. I felt like a spy because they asked me to do a painting of oh gosh, now I can't remember the purple flowers that are like vines on the side of a house. What do you call those?
Clematis?
Clematis. Okay, so clematis. So he was buying this as a gift for his wife. And the wife actually was buying some other painting for him as a gift. So I did the clematis, but it was a surprise. So I had to go only during certain times to take a picture of the clematis at the side of the house. And I felt so dirty. I felt like I was sneaking around, taking pictures of this clematis, and I thought, oh my God, if the neighbors see me sneaking around, like
They're
what's
gonna be
gonna
like,
happen?
what's this woman doing?
I know, but I did the painting exactly the same size as the clematis would be. So you could put the painting beside the clematis and you wouldn't be able to
Wow,
tell the difference. And she loved it. So that was a really fun commission.
that is a fun commission.
Yeah.
Those are some great stories. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for spending time with me today. I really love these talking to artists and, finding out
Me
what you're up
too.
to, but I've especially missed you. I feel like we haven't seen each other in a while. Wow.
Well, we will. We will. You know
Yes.
what? It's like there's been a lot of stuff going on in COVID and everything else, but the sky's opening up now. We have lots of possibilities, and
Yeah.
I feel so hopeful.
Well, that's
I
great.
think things are going to be really great for civilization. If we can take some, uh, you know, lessons learned from everything that we've done. Be kind to each other, take enjoyment out of art. Go and
Right.
buy that you keep saying you're going to buy for ages and ages. Like do
Yeah.
those little things. It's all good.
It is all good. And I mean, what are you working for if you just don't buy something you love?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, isn't it nice? Like, I get to look at my paintings every day, and I think, oh, it's so nice. But you know what? Go out and invest in a nice piece of art. It is an
Yeah.
investment. But it's an investment in your soul and happiness too.
I think.
Like just go and do it, and you'll never regret it. It's a good move.
What a nice message to leave on. That's fantastic. Thank you so
Okay,
much, Adriana, for spending time with me. And I really
thanks.
appreciate it. That's so great.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Karen. Have
Mhm.
a great day.